Hello there everybody, welcome to this week's edition of The Verdict. Such was the quality of the racing on Racing TV last week. It's been quite hard to pick out just 6 races. I could have picked out 10 or 12 quality performances that are worth analysing, but I hope you enjoy the 6 that I have picked out. And after we've looked at those, we will have a nod to the Irish 1000 and 2000 Guineas that took place at the Curragh over the weekend. But we are going to start midweek at Sandown Park with a couple of very interesting performances, starting with a very good 2-year-old in the National Stakes. 5 furlongs was the trip on quick flat racing ground, described as good to firm in places, and 5-2 elite status. 100-30 Blue Storm on point, 6-1, 8-1 Hackman, Dapper Valley 9s, and it was 10-1 and bigger the rest. And this race produces a really good performance from elite status for Clifford Lee and Carl Burke. Stall number 6 is where he jumps from. He beats Will of Darcy from 3, and the third horse home was Hackman, who came from right against the rail in stall number 1. So this is how this race unfolded. First thing to say was that it was quite an evenly run sprint up the Sandown Hill. Remember, they're climbing all the way here. The finishing speed percentage was 102.72, so the winner has finished off 2.72% quicker than he ran the rest of the race. Here he is. We'll pick him out in those yellow colours there. Just switched to get a clear run at the 4 horses that are in front of him at this stage. What makes this performance so good, not just the visuals where a lot of people were wowed by him, it's how quickly he ran late on in the piece. He has got a bright turn of foot, this horse, and showed impressive speed in the 3rd and 4th furlongs. The 3rd furlong, 11.08 he was able to go. That's uphill, remember. And then 11.25 in the 4th furlong. Nothing could live with him there. He's firing that now as he goes from the 2 to the 1 at 11.25. And that means that he's going to surge away and then win this race very easily. His final 3 furlongs were really impressive. He was much quicker than his rivals. 35.01 for him, the runner-up 35.78. He's so much better than the rest. It's almost embarrassing for them. He's absolutely torn them apart, this horse, who surely is bound for Royal Ascot, and perhaps the Norfolk Stakes is the race for him. He was absolutely electric here. Look there, he's going to be switched by Clifford Lee in a moment to get a clear run towards the outside, and those splits that he fired were really impressive. I'd venture to say the most impressive 2-year-old that we have seen so far this season at this sort of trip. Perhaps we've seen a better one over 6 furlongs in Ireland, but this was scintillating from this horse. And it was a 1-2 for Carl Burke as well. He's got his horses in tremendous form, but in truth the second couldn't live with elite status, who's fired a triple-digit speed figure in winning here. 2-year-olds don't often do that, but he's done that, and he's undoubtedly the one to beat if he goes to the Norfolk Stakes at Royal Ascot. And why wouldn't you go after that electric turn of foot in a strong-looking National Stakes? There he is, beginning to surge. 2 really quick furlongs to put the race to bed in a matter of strides under Clifford Lee. And look at the ears, pricked in the closing stages. There's perhaps just a little bit more in the tank from this scopy, rangy individual. I like him a lot, and Royal Ascot beckons. The feature event of the week was the Brigadier Gerard Stakes at Sandown Park, Group 3, over 10 furlongs, and the returning Derby winner, Desert Crown, 2-5, Hookham, 5-1, Cash, 10-1, a big drifter. Solid Stone in there as a pacemaker for Desert Crown. Bit of money for him, actually, 16s from 20s. So let's have a look and see what happened out there. The odds-on favourite turned over. Desert Crown beaten, and beaten by Hookham from stall number 2. Desert Crown was towards the outside. Jim Crowley on board Hookham, and he runs down Desert Crown late in the piece. They jumped out, and Solid Stone set out to make every yard of the running under Ryan Moore, and indeed he runs really well to finish in 3rd place. But what Ryan did was dictate a steady gallop out there. The finishing speed percentage tells us exactly how slowly they went, 109.03. So the last 3 furlongs were 9.03% quicker than they ran the early part of the race. So for this standard of race, with the standard of horse that's in there, they are going steady. We'll pick out the principals. Hookham fairly close to this steady pace. Desert Crown, the yellow cap, towards the outside at the back, not very close at all. You can see Cash, the grey horse, keen in behind, visual evidence of quite a steady gallop. And this ultimately turned into a 3 furlong dash. Two ways of looking at this, I think. Number one, Hookham got stuck in a pocket. Desert Crown got first run. Hookham did really well, therefore, to run Desert Crown down in the closing stages. Second theory, Desert Crown got a wide trip, which was not necessarily ideal. He perhaps made up his ground a bit too quickly. He showed a bright turn of foot, and then he paid for that in the final furlong and got run down by Hookham, who on this occasion saw it out a little bit better than Desert Crown. And that second theory is what the CourseTrack sectionals point you to. The last 3 furlongs, they were almost identical. The winner, Hookham, 35.65. The runner-up, 35.7, Desert Crown. But Desert Crown here, off his wide trip, is now asked to go. And he sprints. He quickens smartly in the 8th furlong. Furlong 8, 11.4. He was quicker than Hookham through the fourth of the last 5 furlongs. 4 of the last 5 he's quicker than Hookham. He sprinted past Hookham, who now gets going. And what happens, according to the sectionals, is that Desert Crown empties. He gets very tired in the final furlong. He can only run 12.5. Hookham runs 12.1, and that 12.1 was the decisive furlong for Hookham. It allowed him to get to the weakening, the tiring Desert Crown, who perhaps made his move too soon, yet surely his engine is all intact, for he was able to quicken up very smartly. That 11.4 8th furlong took him to the front, comfortably to the front. He looked like he was going to win easily, and then for me, he just got tired. Yes, he quickened when Hookham was in a bit of a pocket, but the sectionals will tell us that Hookham didn't really quicken wildly like Desert Crown did. He just kept going. He kept running evenly to run down a horse who was getting tired. And Desert Crown, for me, with that 12.5 final furlong, definitely got tired in the closing stages, and that allowed Hookham to get involved there. But as you can see here, Richard Kingscote cruising up, about to quick and clear, and perhaps go and win the race, he thought. But no, his horse got tired, he's come back off a layoff, and it just told in the closing stages. Plus, it's possible that he'd have been better off just delivered a little bit later. His turn of foot, very much intact. He's going to win a Group 1 this year, I have no doubt about it. And Hookham, well, a tremendous performance from him. Great training performance as well. He'd been off, having had a fracture to one of his hind legs. Owen Burrows, his horses are in great form, has got him back on his seasonal reappearance to land this. He's in the Hardwick, he's in the Irish St Ledger. Don't give up on Desert Crown, though. That, according to the sectionals, was not disappointing at all. Got a bit of a beast alert now prior to this 3 o'clock at Haydock Park, which was the Sandy Lane. 6 furlongs was the trip. Little Big Bear coming back to sprinting. Cold Case 7-2, Bradsell 5-1, 9-1 Matilda Picot. Should have been a ring 11s, and the bottom 2 18s and 66-1 respectively. It's Little Big Bear who is back, and back with a bang after disappointing in the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket. Frankie Dettori was on board and he jumped from stall 7. Should have been a ring, was second from stall 5. Big run from Richard Hannon's horse in second place, and Bradsell was in third. Well, he's a monster to look at, Little Big Bear. He's a grand stamp of a racehorse, and he's a sprinter through and through, and this proves it. The first thing to say is there's a slight caveat to what happened at Haydock on the straight course on Saturday, because being towards the stand side was a definite advantage, and we'll see that when we have a look at the Temple Stakes in particular. I don't think that's why Little Big Bear, who is riding the rail at this stage, I don't think that's why he won. I think he's just much better than these because he showed sustained speed through an evenly run contest. Finishing speed percentage 100.89, and his sustained speed is as follows. The second furlong 10.66, the third furlong 11.14, the fourth furlong 11.26, and he kept going. The fifth furlong 11.51. So he is firing sectional times easily under 12 seconds, and he's doing it in hand. Dettori not having to get too serious with him, just pushing him out hands and heels. Should have been a ring, coming home strongly. The grey horse towards the outside, fired the fastest final 3 furlongs actually, of 35.31. But Little Big Bear's not doing a tap in front, and is eased down by the Tory late on. He could have run faster. The only negative you've got is that there's a bit of a drift to his left in the closing stages, but it didn't worry Frankie too much. Just look at him there, pulling up. What a beast he is. Really good looking horse. The Commonwealth Cup has got to be on the agenda. Best price now, 2 to 1 for that. That's how impressed the layers were with this performance, and the clock tells us just how fast he was. Furlong 2, 10.66, 11.14, 11.26, 11.51. Sustained speed that his rivals just didn't have from Little Big Bear. This shot will show us the drift to his left, but he is under a right-hand drive. That might have had something to do with it. And Frankie's got the race in the bag. He doesn't really need to straighten him out. And he's only just pushed him out, hands and heels. It's mild pressure applied by De Tory. For me, look when he goes past Bradsell, who's in the red colours. Look how small Bradsell is, who's a very good 2-year-old, but look how small he is compared to Little Big Bear, who dwarfs him in stature and dwarfs him in terms of raw speed. And that's what this horse has got, and he'll be really hard to beat in the Commonwealth Cup. He does carry his tail a little bit high, but he's always done that. And I think this matches his 2-year-old performance in the Phoenix Stakes when he fired a triple-digit speed figure and was very impressive there. Well, he's done exactly the same here. The drop back to sprinting, absolutely perfect for him. And I put this to you, that perhaps after the Commonwealth Cup, he will be able to take on older sprinters. He could be just that good. Feature at Haydock on Saturday. The Betfred Temple Stakes Group 2 over 5 furlongs on quick ground. Dramatised 4 to 1. Royal Acclaim 5 to 1. 11 to 2. Twilight Calls. Platinum Queen was 11 to 2. Support for her. A 7 to 1. Living the Dream, coming out of a big run at Newmarket last time. Happy Romance 9s and Mitbahi 14, 16 to 1. And Bigger the Rest. Dramatised back to form with a big win here from stall number 10, beating Equilateral from 13. Third home, Living the Dream from 14. Fourth home, Existent from 11. You're getting the picture. The draw was pretty important here at Haydock in the Temple Stakes. We saw Little Big Bear ride the rail to success, although he was miles better than his opponents. But this race, I think, very much all to do with the draw. For horses that were out here, had very little chance from there onwards. You needed to be as close to the rail as he possibly could get. How was this run? It wasn't furiously run, Living the Dream taking them along, but a finishing speed percentage for the win of 104.36. She's just drafting in behind there on the rail. That's not what you'd expect in a sprint of this stature. I mean, she's finished off 4.36% quicker than she ran the rest of the race, so it's not furiously run. See Twilight Calls in the blue cap in behind, a strong travelling horse, perhaps being a little bit too keen in the early stages. He doesn't finish the race off thereafter, and now all the action is going to take place up against the rail. These horses out in the middle of the track, all of these horses here, absolutely no chance. The horse that fared best of those that were out in the middle was Mitbahi, who finished 5th and might be a horse to keep an eye on going forward. But all of the action towards the stand side, you can see Existent running on in the yellow colours towards the middle of the track, but it is dramatised, winning ears pricked in the end from Equilateral, bouncing back Equilateral, perhaps a horse who's best fresh. It was a good run from him in second place at a big price. Living the Dream, probably running to form in third, and Existent back in fourth place. The winner completed the final 3 furlongs in 33.75, and that was just the third fastest in the race. So she's not produced remarkable splits. She's just got a lovely toe through the race. She's been in the right position throughout, and she's picked up quite well in the closing stages. Existent, you can pick him out as being quite an interesting horse going forward, because he's the only horse to dip under 12 seconds in the final furlong. So he comes home pretty strongly, and he perhaps could have done with being a little bit nearer to that stand side rail. So it's a bit of a pity that the draw was so important here. We had some nice horses competing here, and Dramatised is clearly back, and it'll be interesting to see what she can do in the King's Stand, where she may go next. She's about a 6 to 1 shot for the King's Stand at the moment. She'll have to improve, I think, to really feature there. But this is a good effort. She's shown a decent attitude in the closing stages. She's picked up well to go past Living the Dream, who for a sprint got his own way out in front just a little bit, and he too was riding the rail. So all in all, you've got to be positive about what she did out there, but a big step up is required if she's going to win a King's Stand. And well, the track bias, that place to be against the stands rail, it was disappointing that it existed, but nonetheless, there's an informed trainer, Carl Burke, with a good filly. Let's go to York now and have a look at the 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. It was a very competitive 7 furlong handicap, full of in-form horses and some quite well handicapped. Yorkshire 5-4, Titan Rock is 11-2 and Cruyff Turn 13-2, Shining Blue 15-2 and 9-1 Beau Pedro. It's 9's Open Mind and Lord of the Lodge 18-1. Well, Shining Blue is the winner of this race, and he featured on the verdict when he won at Leicester last season. And I've not put him back in for sentimentality reasons. I've put him back onto the verdict for the second time because of what he did in this particular race. He was sensational. He destroys a good field of handicappers off a mark of 105. He comes out of stall 9. Second place was Beau Pedro from stall number 2. Third was Documenting from stall number 4. Well, since that win at Leicester, Shining Blue has flashed ability. He won at Meydan, where he just about made every yard of the running, and he ran well in defeat there as well. He's a horse who in the past has pulled too hard for his own good. Here he is in the white cap in the Godolphin blue. He's trained by Saïd bin Suroor. But in this race that was very strongly run, he settled and he attended that strong pace, yet he was still able to draw clear of his rivals with ease. Now, how do we know it's strongly run? Well, they're quite well strung out, so visually you would imagine that's what happened. You need confirmation, and you get it from the sectionals. Finishing speed percentage, 98.55. They're slowing down. The winner was slowing down in the closing stages, and it was a fiercely run contest. And the fact that he attended the pace and was still able to sprint in the closing stages is very impressive. See there, he's still on the bridle, everything's under the cosh in behind. He quickened in the 4th furlong, he did an 11.04, and the 5th he did an 11.25. Thereafter, he gets a little bit tired. Final 3 furlongs of 36.36 was best in the race by some way, and he was eased off by Danny Muscat a little bit in the closing stages. So for him to attend that furious early gallop, yet be able to fire some quick furlongs, 10.82, 10.89, and a final 3 furlongs, which was even of 36. He must be a really good horse. He's a horse who'd be capable of winning a group race. But the problem is he doesn't really back up performances. He's never done so in the past, and it may just be that he's best fresh. This is certainly his trip, and if he was to be given a bit of a break, a bit of a layoff and brought back over 7 furlongs somewhere in Europe on this kind of ground, I think he wants quick ground, then he would be a horse to be with for sure. He has destroyed decent handicappers as he liked, and really you'd have wanted him to have been ridden a bit more patiently given the strength of that early gallop, the 10.82 and the 10.89. That was strong up front. He attended it and then he cleared right away from his rivals. It's very interesting to muse to what Saïd bin Suroor is going to do with him. He's got him in the Royal Hunt Cup. I'm not sure about that. We're not too far away from the Royal Ascot. I think he wants to be fresh, this fella, and perhaps he'll always be best at 7 furlongs. But he's just now beginning to fulfil the potential that here on the verdict we saw when he won at Leicester last season. And if he can really get his act together now and continue to settle well in his races, group races await. There was some tremendous action at the Curragh over the weekend. I picked out the Tattersalls Gold Cup. I think this is a very interesting race. 0 mile and a quarter Verdani. He was 11-8, the Coral Eclipse winner from last year. Baybridge 2-1, Luxembourg 11-4, and big prices the rest. That brings in Piz Badil at 22-1, who played a part in this race. We'll send them on the way straight away. Pick the principals out in a moment or two. Luxembourg's the winner. Got the better of Baybridge, and Piz Badil back in 3rd place. And this, quite simply, was a front-running masterclass from the world-class Ryan Moore on Luxembourg. See him there, just easing his way to the front, Pisbadil towards the outside, and he now dictates an even gallop out in front. Here's Bay Bridge, and there's Pisbadil. Verdani under Christophe Soumillon, giving a patient ride, as he was in the Coral Eclipse. He fails to fire Verdani, most disappointing. Luxembourg wasn't. Now, this wasn't a case of Ryan Moore dictating a real steady gallop and then sprinting. He's just gone evenly here. His final time of 2 minutes 13.62 was the best time furlong per furlong on the card at the Curragh. And I know that being prominent or riding horses from the front at the Curragh on decent ground is the way to go, and it certainly was on the Sunday of the Guineas meeting, but nonetheless this is a tremendous ride. Now, Bay Bridge in behind, what are we to make of him? Just try and pick him out there. He's quite keen. Look at Richard Kingscott's arms up in the air off the horse's withers. Look at Ryan Moore's arms on the leader, down on the horse's withers in a nice rhythm, just rolling along in front. Bay Bridge too keen. He's doing too much in behind. Look, see his head going from side to side. Richard Kingscott trying to get him settled. He's got him in behind horses where he wants to be. But the horse just won't drop his head, look. He's doing too much. They're running uphill now. And he's using up a lot of energy going up the hill to that 5 furlong pole. And he's still keen as they turn and come down. So therefore it is little wonder that he was unable to finish off quite as strongly as Richard Kingscott would have wanted. Indeed, watching this race back, he pulled for about 6 furlongs. He's still keen there in behind. Ryan Moore, though, is just rolling along, even fractions out in front. And Luxembourg just keeps responding to Moore, seeing off Pisbadil, and then finally Bay Bridge. Now at this stage, Richard Kingscott's in a bit of a spot. He's stuck in there, and Ryan Moore can go when he wants to go, and potentially this horse, Pisbadil, is going to be keeping Bay Bridge in. Luckily, he gets an out. And the question was, on the day it was asked by pundits, did he get out in time? Did he have enough time to go and run down Luxembourg? And I think emphatically the answer is yes. So if you look at the overhead angle, he gets within a neck of Luxembourg, but he can't go past thereafter. He was too keen. He's emptied late on. He's also drifted to his left as he gets tired, and Luxembourg is pulling away as they get to the line. So a very good winner, brilliantly ridden by Ryan Moore, and it is perhaps arguable that Bay Bridge wants a bit more ease in the ground than he got here. It was quickening up all day at the Curragh. By the time we got to this Tattersall's Gold Cup, it was quite quick, and I think he wants a little bit more ease. But look how close he gets. He's definitely within a neck of Luxembourg, and now when he gets tired, there he goes. Watch the strips of grass. He's drifting. He's drifting across to his left under pressure, and he finds no more. And Luxembourg keeps on rolling out in front. Brilliant ride from Ryan Moore. It didn't go Richard Kingscott's way in what's been a difficult week for Richard overall with Desert Crown and now this horse. But I just think Bay Bridge was just too keen for his own good. He got out in time. He got within a neck. He couldn't get past, and he'll be better for the run. And Luxembourg, well, he's a very interesting horse going forward. For the Prince of Wales' stakes at Royal Ascot, he'll be quite interesting there. Along with Bay Bridge, they might well meet again. And it's good form. They were 6 lengths clear of the third. They pulled a long way clear. 2 really smart horses. Bay Bridge, though, he's got to settle. That was one of the highlights at the Curragh over the weekend. The 2 Irish Guineas were the other 2 highlights, and Paddington was the winner of the Irish 2000 Guineas with a few disappointments in behind, particularly Royal Scotsman. He disappointed, but Paddington beat Cairo and a High Royal, a 12th win in the race for Aidan O'Brien. What do we make of the race? It was steadily run. You had to be prominent. Nothing got into it that was held up. And Paddington, again by Ryan Moore, was brilliantly ridden given the pace of the race. He's a progressive individual. To a degree, this race fell apart with some horses disappointing in behind, particularly Royal Scotsman, and the steady gallop. When it came to the 1,000 guineas, Tahira was fully expected to win, and win she did, showing a lovely turn of foot. She was in stall 1, which is not always good at the Curragh, because they just have a little jink to their right after they come out of the stalls, and she was trapped in for a while, but when she got out under Chris Hayes, she quickened up really well to get past Meditate. Comrie running well in third for Jim Bolger in first time cheek pieces. This too, although it was quite a quickly run race compared to the 2,000 guineas, it still was quite steady, and she was able to quicken up off that steady gallop and get to Meditate, who got first jump on her. I think, as Chris Hayes said in interview afterwards, she will be much better if she gets a strong gallop to go out and then uses her blinding turn of foot off a strong gallop when horses are stopping in front of her. 7-4 she is for the Coronation, where she may meet Morge once again. Morge who beat her in the English 1,000 guineas. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Verdict, and you can make your mind up on what you think happened in the Brigadier Gerard Stakes. For me, Desert Crown emerges with a ton of credit. See you next week.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.